What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm super excited for this video. We're going to be checking out this 2024 Chevy Colorado ZR2. So I've recently made a review of the Chevy Colorado Z71. I'll have that linked down below, but this is the Colorado that I really wanted to check out. Now, it's not quite the Bison that I had in mind, but the ZR2 is absolutely awesome. It's such an eye-catching truck when you see it out on the lot, as you can see. And the biggest thing that you'll notice between the two, there's tons and tons of stuff between the ZR2 and all of the other Colorado trims, but it's just this ground clearance. You have these massive wheels. Look at how high this lift is off the ground. I'll have a side-by-side clip of a regular Z71 as well as the ZR2 right next to each other, so you guys can see kind of what I'm talking about. This thing is absolutely just jacked off the ground and it looks incredible. So let's go ahead and just work our way around this whole vehicle, talk about everything that you have here on the ZR2, all of the fun technical stuff that this more off-road capable truck has to offer, and we'll start up front. So here on the front grille, you're going to notice a lot of little accents and things that are going to be specific to that ZR2 package. Of course, firstly, you have the ZR2 badging here, but you've got this really cool cutout Chevy bow tie here with a little red accent on the inside. Absolutely love the look of that. You have a gloss black front grille insert right here, matte black hood accent here, super aggressive front hood for sure. A lot of body colored accents here, black cladding in here. You got a full suite of front LED headlights, some LED daytime running lights here, as well as LED fog lights. Nice little tiny guys right down here. And then you've got these bright red tow hooks right here, right above your nice heavy duty thick skid plate down there. Some air pass through here and here. Up front, this is just kind of a faux pass through, but it all just looks so mean, so aggressive. Nice kind of compact front hood because of all that lift, but just absolutely killer in the front. Looks so good. Now, we took a look at this engine under the hood of the Z71, but this is a 2.7 liter turbo max engine, 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. And this is funny. You get 17 miles per gallon highway and 17 miles per gallon city. I don't think I've ever seen that before. 17 miles per gallon is going to be your peak mileage here on the ZR2. You're most likely not going to get that. That's a best case scenario. Well, moving on back here, you get some nice aggressive cladding around these wheel wells, and these wheel well openings are massive, and they have to be to fit these 33-inch tires here, sitting on 17-inch wheels, and you get to see all 10.7 inches of ground clearance that you have right here on the ZR2. Now, if you go up to the ZR2 Bison, you're going to get an additional few inches of ground clearance, up to 12.2 inches of ground clearance, and you're going to get larger 35-inch tires. Absolutely massive. And if we do ever get one on the lot, again, I'll definitely bring you guys a review of that, but these tires are massive. Moving on back, you've got this rocker panel protector right here. I at first thought it was an assist step because you really need one on this truck because it is pretty tall, but no, this is just a rocker panel protector, so nothing hits the side. You've got this nice metal beam here. Black side mirrors here that are a nice contrast with this glacier blue color that we have, which is absolutely beautiful. But these are manual folding mirrors, but they are heated, power adjustable. They have blind spot monitoring built in as well. Some chrome Colorado badging here. I'd love if that was powder coated black, but I'm just getting picky here. Keyless access on the door panels as well. That little button right there. Now I'm going to use the rocker panel to get up here and look at this tiny little power tilting and sliding sunroof up top. More cladding around the rear tires as well. And you've got some real nice body lines down the quarter panel, down the door as well at the bottom of the door. Just some nice accents that kind of intersect here in the front fender area, work its way all the way around. It's just a really aggressive, attractive truck. A couple of the other performance-y type features, you have a 3-inch factory lift with Multimatic DSSV dampers, and then you have both a front and rear driver selectable full locking differential and a 2-speed transfer case. All right, so moving back here to the tailgate, a couple little accents jump out. You got the Chevrolet word mark stamped onto the back, more of that awesome ZR2 badging there, some Colorado badging here. Again, I wish that was powder coated black, but nonetheless, really aggressive accent on the bumper here as well. All of your connections for your towing equipment, and you have a spare tire up underneath as well. Some nice sculpted tail lights here, and then you do get a little bit of ZR2 badging, a little sticker at least on the back here. Now, most trims of the Colorado can tow about 7,700 pounds. Here on the ZR2, that's going to drop down to 6,000 pounds. Still decent towing capacity, but not quite the peak that you can get on some lower trim levels. Got some parking sensors on the back. You got your rear view camera here. You can lock your tailgate here. A couple nice accents on the top of the tailgate here, and then down at the bottom, bottom, you'll see there is a performance exhaust tip in black, which looks really good. But if we go ahead and open the tailgate here, it's an easy lower tailgate. Got a couple nice little things on the back here. You've got a ruler right here. So if you notice right here, there's a StowFlex storage compartment, so you can just unlock it by pushing these little handles here, and then this part will open right up for you. Get some nice storage in there. Tools, jumper cables, ratchet straps, any of that kind of stuff. Put that back down, lock it back up, and then you've got a spray and bed liner here as well on the ZR2. Some hooks here. And over on this side, you have a full-size outlet right there. ZR2 badging on the spray and bed liner, which looks nice. Hooks all the way back. You got a little sliding window there, and you've got some bed lights up top. That's pretty much everything back here. Let's go ahead and hop inside the cabin. All right, so hopping up into this tall ZR2 cabin here, a couple things jump out at me right away. As I mentioned in the Z71 review, if you like camo, you're gonna like this cabin. There's camo accents everywhere. Over here above the glove box, on the charging pad, on the cup holders on the inside, on the little pockets on the door panels, even around the vents. There's a lot of camo in this cabin, but I think it kind of fits, and I think it actually looks nice in this case because it feels like a step up. It feels like a little bit higher level and a little more premium. And overall, the ZR2 cabin is just a nice step up from the Z71. A lot of positive things inside this cabin. Some things I don't like so much. We'll talk about that in the test drive portion, but for the most part, this is a really nicely designed cabin, and I'm a big fan of it. You know, material quality is something you're going to be a little bit lacking in. So let's go ahead and start over here on the door panels. Lots of hard touch plastic on the door panels up across the dash here. But you do have some nice materials, little satin accents here, some leather and accent stitching here on the door panels. Same around the dash, working its way across in this nice gray color with more yellow accent stitching. You've got position memory for your seats here with easy exit as well. Mirror controls and window controls over on the left side. Brightness control for your driver information center. Trailering brake right here as well. Your Camaro inspired vents here that you can turn just like that, pivot them around. Again, they have that nice camo wrapper and then a little bit of a satin accent on them. Nice big leather wrapped steering wheel here. Cruise control options on the left side, driver information controls, and your heated steering wheel button on the right side as well. Chevy bow tie in black, a little bit of a satin accent inside there. It's a nice big steering wheel. Behind it, you've got a combo wiper and light controller here on this singular stock. So there's not a bunch of different stocks, which looks really nice. Past that stock though, you get an 11-inch driver information display. So if we go ahead and turn the vehicle on, we can take a look at that. And this has all different views that you can switch through. So you've got so much information, it's almost overwhelming. You can do a screen where you just have your Google Maps turned on. You can do a nice clean screen that gives you RPMs and Gs and things like that. You can do one that gives you your pitch and roll, steering angle, transfer case, speed, oil temp, all that kind of stuff. You can do one that has more traditional kind of analog looking gauges with your adaptive cruise options in there, or you can do a nice clean setting where you just see your speed. There's so many different options on this screen and it looks really nice. Super high res, nice refresh rate, clean graphics. It looks good. Some of it's a little bit cluttered in my opinion, but I think if you're going to be taking this thing off-road, you're going to want to know all this information. And then over to the right here, we've got an 11.3-inch infotainment display. Now this is built on Google's platform. So you've got a lot of built-in Google things. So Google Assistant, Google Play Store, Google Podcast, Google News, Google Maps, obviously. You still have a bunch of additional things as well. You've got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a full trailering menu, on-screen climate controls, a Wi-Fi hotspot. Then you have some nice little just convenience features like air down mode, which lets you set a target tire pressure, and then you can start lowering the tire pressure and the vehicle will honk when you get to that target pressure. That's nice. You've got an off-road menu, which will give you all different information. You've got G's, steering angle, you can have roll, pitch, tire PSI, and then you have one that has your elevation stats and a compass. So a ton of off-roading information there. Like I said, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as you can connect your phone to this, and then you can put it in reverse and see your rear view camera, and then see a straight down trailering view as well if you need that. The only thing I kind of wish they'd add is a front-facing camera so you could kind of see when you're getting up over obstacles and things, but no such option on this specific ZR2. Push to start engine button here, and while you do have on-screen climate controls, they still give you a ton of tactile physical buttons, which I think a lot of people are going to appreciate and like. So you've got a dual zone climate control system, so individually adjustable driver and passenger here. You've got heated and ventilated seat options, and then all of your different controls for your HVAC right here. A couple vents right here to get access to that air, and then you have all these nice toggles down below as well. So you can switch your front and rear locking differential here. Those are the driver selectable ones I mentioned outside. Auto start stop engine enable or disable. You've got your hazards here, your lane departure right here. Then you can turn on your auxiliary auxiliary output in the truck bed. And they can lower all 4 windows at the same time using this button here. Unfortunately, you cannot raise them back up. You have to do that manually here. But underneath that, you've got one USB-C port, one USB-A port, and then your camo layered Qi-enabled wireless charging pad right here. And then my favorite thing ever, right past that, the entire center portion here is covered in piano black plastic, which loves fingerprints and dust unlike anything you'll ever see in your life. And they put it everywhere. They even went so far as to put the little dial that you push on a regular basis to change your driving mode. They put the whole surface of that in gloss black. Just in case you weren't getting enough fingerprints on this center portion, you can get it all over your drive mode selector as well, which is awesome. I love it. Thank you, Chevy. But you can switch your drive modes here by toggling this, and then you've got your auto mode, 2-wheel high, 4-wheel high, and 4-wheel low right there. Electronic parking brake, and then you do have an 8-speed automatic transmission here with a manual mode. There's kind of a little accented Chevy bow tie here, little rubber up top, little leather at the bottom with some accent stitching, 2 cup holders with the camo inside, and then you can actually put your phone in this little slot here, which is nice as well. Nice armrest here with some accent stitching, nice deep pocket with a little tray, and a 12-volt outlet in there as well. Auto dimming rear view mirror up top, some dome lights, and then your sunroof controls here. You can close this up if you want to. Then you have a nice black liner up top, which I think is a really nice touch. Now, as far as the materials, again, you've got that kind of soft touch leather material with the accent stitching and camo, and then a nice ZR2 badge right above the glove box. Now, as far as the seating surfaces go, these say they are jet black with Artemis. I'm guessing Artemis is this gray color down the center because there is very little jet black on these seats, except for on the side panels here with these little kind of accented wing pieces coming off the middle part, perforated down the center to give you access to that ventilation as well. So heated and ventilated driver and passenger seats with that leather appointed jet black and gray accents with the yellow accent stitching. The driver is an 8-way power adjustable with position memory and easy exit. The passenger is a manually adjustable seat. Now, this ZR2 comes standard with Chevy's safety assist, which includes IntelliBeam auto high beam, follow distance indicator, forward collision alert, lane keep assist with lane departure warning, automatic emergency braking, front pedestrian braking, and bicyclist braking. But we also added on the ZR2 convenience package, which includes rear cross traffic braking, blind zone steering assist, and rear park assist. All right, climbing back up into the back seats here. I had this seat pretty far back, so I'm not getting a lot of legroom here, maybe like half an inch. But if this were in more of a normal driving position, you know what? I'm gonna move it to my normal driving position. All right, so I moved it to my normal driving position. I have about 2 inches of rear legroom now, so that makes a big difference. The easy exit, you know, isn't gonna give your backseat passengers as much space, but if you go ahead and scoot that thing forward, you're good. You do have map pockets on both driver and passenger, plenty of room up underneath to tuck your feet as well. Door panel materials are not good quality. Plastics here, and then you have that same kind of leather rubber material with the accent stitching on the doors here. Handles here, which is nice because you can pull yourself up into the truck. You don't have that on the front. Got some lights here. Again, this window that slides open like that. Some rear vents here, but you do not have individual climate control for backseat passengers, but you do have rear vents, which is nice. One USB-C, one USB-A port. Then you have another full-size outlet down here, 2 cup holders here in the back, and then another slot for phones. And then you have this little center armrest that folds down, gives you 2 more cup holders, nice armrest. 2 adults back here should be totally fine. You've got good headroom because of how the roof slopes up here. Pretty good shoulder space, and you know, the leg room's good too. But 3 kids is gonna be pretty tight back here. 3 adults is basically a no-go in my opinion. 3 kids is gonna be tight because of how close this center console here is to this seat here. So as you can see, you don't even really have room to stretch your feet out. You're kind of just jammed up here. So maybe if I was a little kid, maybe it wouldn't be as bad, but 3 medium-sized kids is gonna be pretty tough back here. So I'd stick with 2 passengers, and then you can lift these seats up if you want to lay stuff a little bit more flat across the floor as well. All right, let's take the Colorado ZR2 for a little test drive. Now, I've driven the Z71, as I've mentioned before. It was a pretty enjoyable truck to drive. I have to be honest, I'm not the biggest truck guy in the world. Not that I dislike them necessarily, it's just I've never really had a use case for one, and never owned one. But if I were gonna get one, it would probably be a smaller truck, like something like the ZR2, but probably something even smaller like the Hyundai Santa Cruz, just so I had the functionality of a truck without, you know, the size of the truck necessarily, because I still like to be kind of nimble and get around easily. So if they made something like an electric version of the Santa Cruz or an EV version of the Colorado, I'd definitely consider it. But again, this has the 2.7 liter turbo max, 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. It has a little bit of that turbo delay when you get going. Oof. put it in normal mode. Floor it here. I want to get whatever mode has the best acceleration curve. Maybe Baja mode? That feels a little bit more connected. I got a lot of cars in front of me though, so I can't really get a good test. Once I get on the highway, I'll definitely be able to test it. But now that we're at city speeds, let's go ahead and get a dB reading here. When accelerating, it goes up to around like 65 dB, but cruising around 61. But as we're like cruising here in the city streets, let's just talk about 3 things I love and 3 things I hate about the Colorado. First and foremost, I have to give it to the looks of this thing. Not a big blue guy, even though I have to wear blue for work every day, but I really do like the glacier blue color that we have on the exterior. But something like there's like a sand brown color, like a tan color. I'm not sure the exact name of it, but that one with like the contrast with the red accents and everything. Wow. Oh, it looks incredible. And this just has such an aggressive, beefy look while still being relatively compact. So I really like the exterior design of the ZR2 specifically. I think it looks really awesome. The regular Z71 and Trail Boss and those different ones, they're not bad looking as far as trucks go. They don't look as good as this, and I'm a big fan of it. The second thing would probably be the infotainment screen here. While I'm not the biggest Google guy, I really do like how smooth everything works. And you really can't say that for every vehicle infotainment system. They're not all made equal, just not even close. And Chevy has done a really good job with this kind of updated system. It's pretty fluid. The graphics look nice. I wish it wasn't built on Android, but the fact that they still give you Apple CarPlay in addition to Android Auto is a nice touch. And thirdly, you guys probably know what I'm gonna say, but I love a ventilated seat. And this has ventilated seats, and I'm using them right now, and they feel awesome, especially because it is super warm today, and I'm starting to cook a little bit. And so being able to cool my back off, not get that sticky, sweaty back, absolutely choice. And if it was super cold and I wanted to heat myself up, you do have the heated option as well. So having those heated and ventilated seats are fantastic. Now let's talk about 3 things that I don't love as much. First and foremost is the interior design. Now, some of the things I like I really don't mind the camo as much on this ZR2. I think it mirrors well with the badging and the other accents, but the just overall material quality is just not that great. This is not a cheap truck by any means. This is a $51,000 truck, so it's not really cheap, especially as far as the Colorado goes. This is on the higher end, but you still do get some nice materials. It's just the overall gloss black and all that kind of stuff, just not my favorite. I wish they'd just do away with that, give you some like textured plastic or something. That would be better in my opinion than the gloss black, but here we are. Number 2, I don't really find the seats that comfortable, although I do really like the ventilation like I mentioned. They're a little bit stiff. I talked about that when I reviewed the Colorado last time on the cloth seats. Now, while these leather seats are a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more bolstered, they're still just not the best. And again, it's not super expensive vehicle and it is an off-road vehicle, so you're not going to need the most comfortable seats in the world, but could do with a little bit of extra bolstering. You can push the lumbar support out a little bit, which is nice. Now, the third thing I don't care for as much is the lack of cameras and the camera quality. So I would really like to have the option of 360-degree cameras. I think that's really good and necessary when you're having a vehicle that needs to go off-road or wants to go off-road more so. Being able to see all around your vehicle is great. I know it's one more thing that can break and scratch. I get that for sure, but having a front-facing camera, just that alone would be great. But I really wish they'd upgrade the quality. Even the camera on my Chevy Bolt from 2022 was better quality than this camera on this new system. So I think they could really work on that. I really think manufacturers across the board need to really work on their rear view cameras because they're just bad and they're lagging behind a little bit. I think they need to catch up. We'll see if they actually do that. Let's go ahead and hop here on the highway, get an acceleration here. Let's get a dB reading here on the highway. So when accelerating, it goes up to 76, but on average about 73. It's right on par with some of the louder vehicles. This is an off-roading truck, so this doesn't have like a lane keeping cruise control. It just has normal regular cruise control, so I can't really test that too much. Once we come up here to a stop, we'll get a test at idle. And it does have the auto start stop and engine, so it's gonna turn off when we get up here. The brakes don't feel amazing. Like they slow down and then you really gotta push to get it to come to a complete stop. All right, let's get an idle test. So right around 49 dB for the idle test. Now, as far as the usability of everything in this cabin, it's all very easy to access. Nice bright, graphics on this driver information display. I love that you can do like full screen navigation with Google Maps. That's great. And all the different, layouts that you can choose from. I think they all look really good for the most part. Again, some are more cluttered than I would choose personally, but if you're off-roading or on a trail or on rocks or something, you want to know this information. Just doesn't matter as much for daily driving. Now, as far as the infotainment screen here, it's super easy to use. Everything's there that you need, so it's really a great system overall. And I think a lot of people are going to like the fact that you have the on-screen climate controls, but you also have physical buttons for almost all of the functionality for the climate. You can do that without having to look at the screen and fiddle and all that kind of stuff. Nice combination of the new and old, kind of like I talked about in my Z71 review. Now, as far as handling goes, something you notice for sure is like the ride height is crazy. Like I feel like I'm way up there. I feel like I'm in almost like one of those box trucks. That's how high up you ride. Well, that makes sense. Having that 10.7 inches of ground clearance, that's crazy. Riding on these big 33-inch tires, like it feels tall. You feel like you're towering over everybody, which is great. The drawback is that you feel tall. Quite literally much more distance between you and being physically connected to the road. So you're definitely going to feel that. But overall, I don't think the handling is bad necessarily. There's a little bit of swimminess to it. I don't know like the more technical terms for it. It's like there's just this little bit of disconnection that you feel. Just a slightest bit of delay, but I still think it handles well. It's not the smoothest ride out there. That's going to be expected when you're up on these big 33s with all that lift. This is literally made to jump. I'm not going to do it in this video. I wish I could. I wish I had that capability. Wish I could jump this thing. It's literally made for that. It's made to absorb that kind of impact. You'd think the ride might be just a hair smoother. Guess it's made for more serious impacts than more just like a daily road driving. So should you get the ZR2? That's the big question here. I think it really depends, as always, on what is important to you. I want to say, though, I think the ZR2 is a nice sweet spot in the Colorado lineup between the off-road capable Max, which is the ZR2 Bison. I mean, that has everything, the 35-inch, the 12.2 inches of ground clearance, all those things, like the peak performance, right? The ZR2, a little bit less ground clearance, but still a ton. A little bit smaller wheels, but still huge. It's just right below that peak without having to pay that extra $8,000 for the Bison, right? You just get a little bit less for a decent bit more money. Now, could you save even more, go another $8,000 off the ZR2, get the Z71? Absolutely. But you're going to be losing that ground clearance. You're going to go back to normal ground clearance, like normal small pickup ground clearance. I'll have the exact numbers on screen. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a big, big difference. You definitely drop down quite a bit, and it just doesn't have the same off-road performance as something like this ZR2 is going to have, especially with some of the protective systems, right? The rocker panel protectors, the big cladding around the wheel wells, the big cladding around the front of the vehicle. Just some of those protective items you're just not going to get on something that's a little bit cheaper unless you install them yourself, right? Which you might not want to do because the vehicle's not as capable anyway. So this really is, I think, the best kind of combination of still getting the 2.7 liter turbo max engine, so you still get that 310 horsepower, the 430 pound-feet of torque, so you get all that performance and you don't have to sacrifice off-road performance by dropping down to something like the Trail Boss or the Z71. So I really think if I were getting a Colorado, I would lean towards getting a ZR2. I just think they're really awesome and really fun. If I had $51,000, right, for a small truck, this is definitely one I'd consider. Now, I would love to get an electric version of the Colorado. Maybe down the line we'll get one of those, and if we do, I'll be reviewing it on this channel and on my tech channel right away. So if you're more into electric cars, go check out Metz Tech. I'll have it linked in the description. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop a like in the video if you loved it. Tell me in the comments down below, what do you think about this ZR2 Colorado? Have you picked one up? What are your thoughts? I'd love to talk about it down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.